This is episode number 50 with Deeannah Seymour. Welcome to the Good Life Coach podcast. I am your host, Michelle Lamoureux. The intention of this show is to awaken you to your fullest potential. Join me each week for inspiring interviews to elevate an area of your life, as well as interviews with women entrepreneurs who are creating success on their own terms. Each episode provides actionable tips to guide you to design a life you love. Hey there, it's Michelle and welcome back. So I am doing something a little bit different on the show. I've been in the process of interviewing 7-figure female CEOs and leaders on their self-care strategies. It's an area that I'm passionate about. It's an area that I speak on myself. I'm actually giving a talk to 7-figure female CEOs on self-care strategies for the modern female leader, because I want to see women embrace their self-care as a way of maintaining their power, because we are so generous with our time and we have such full lives and so many responsibilities. Family, our children, maybe we even have aging parents or even in-laws that we're caring for. We've got our work, and that includes being a stay-at-home mom. Maybe you run a company, you're committed to your community, you might do charity work. I mean, our lives are really just so full, and, we're not empowered to think about what we want. And we're moving into this new time in life where self-actualization is what we're striving for. We really are moving into a new space that there is no roadmap for. We're creating it as we go. And so my piece of that, I feel that I'm being called to do, is to really help create awareness around this and to encourage women to think about their future selves. Who do you want to be in a year and in 5 years and in 10 years? And if you were looking back on your life 10 years from now at the pace you're going and the way that you're operating, are you doing things every day that are moving you forward towards a higher vision of your life? And if the answer is no, then I'm going to invite you to really start thinking about that. Take time, even 20 minutes, maybe this Sunday morning, sit down with a pad of paper and a pen and think about what you want in your life and what's missing. And so one way that I thought that would be a powerful way to inspire you is through storytelling. So I have invited back on the show Deeannah Seymour, who is a guest on episode number 31. She has a very interesting story. She donated a kidney as a single mother of 2 to her friend's 4-year-old. She's really remarkable. So after you listen to this episode, definitely go listen to that one if you haven't heard it. The title of that one was Faith Over Fear. It's a great story. And today is equally a great story because Deeannah didn't always make self-care a priority. And she shares some things that started to happen to her body that became a wake-up call for her. So my hope is that by listening to Deeannah's story, it will inspire you to think about what area or areas of your life need tending to, and to start fitting yourself into your weekly and daily schedule to lift yourself up and make yourself a priority. So before we jump into the show, just want to note that my audio is not what it usually is. Unfortunately, my microphone was not plugged in and connected correctly. So you will hear that, but Deeannah sounds great. So we are good. So let's get into today's show. Hey, Deeannah, thank you for joining me.
Hi, Michelle. It's so great to be with you again.
I know, this is so much fun. I love talking to you about your entrepreneurial journey. But for people who are listening and who are unfamiliar with you and what you do, can you take a minute to tell us about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. I am a 47-year-old mother of 2 amazing, I was going to say teenagers, but my son just turned 20 yesterday.
Congrats.
So thank you. Yes, I've been a single mom now for about 7 years. and I became an entrepreneur. Never in my wildest dreams thought that would happen, but it did. And so I've been on that journey now, really, for the past 2 years. It's been,
Mm.
I've devoted my self to it full time, but really it began about 5 years ago. So I have a company called PhD Feminine Health, and we have the number one best selling product for feminine hygiene for both vaginal odor and itch. And it's available at retailers nationwide, including Target and CVS.
Congrats. You're amazing.
Thank
And two
you.
years,
Oh,
I mean, this is like phenomenal. And we were talking before the mics went on, but one of the reasons that I wanted to specifically talk to seven-figure female entrepreneurs is because you guys are creating a whole new ceiling for women, right? You're pushing through that ceiling and you're saying, no, there is not going to be a
yeah.
ceiling. We're going to go higher and live the lives that we want to live, and you're doing that as a single mom. And I think that women learn from other women, and so by understanding how, even while you're, I mean, startup world, anyone who's been in it or is in it knows that it's a grind. I mean, it's so much work. So the fact that you're making time for you is huge. So I think what's actually helpful and would be interesting is to first just know, how do you define self-care? What does it mean to you?
Well, self care to me, I think when a lot of people hear that, the first thing they think of is, are you exercising?
Hmm.
Are you taking care of your body? But to me, self care is all encompassing, including not only your body, but also your mind and your
Mm.
spiritual well being as well. So it includes all of that. And, in many ways, it's like that three-legged stool that if one of the legs is broken, you really can't stand up correctly.
Mm.
So
So good.
um, to me, that's what self-care is. It encompasses all of that.
That's a great definition. So, what do you do on a daily basis to tend to your mind, body, and soul? Because that's really what I heard you say. It's all
Yeah,
three, which I love that you said that, and you didn't just talk about, you're right, the working out, or are you getting a weekly massage, or what are you doing like that? It's bigger than that.
right.
So, what are you
Yeah,
doing? Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I think one of the most important things for me is gratitude.
Mm.
Um, and it's interesting. My business partner, Mark, has this saying that gratitude begets cheerfulness.
Mm.
And it is so true once you start practicing gratitude. Um, that, I begin each day with, gratitude. And for myself, that is includes prayer time. But for others, it could just be, thanking the universe or thinking of the things that you're grateful for. But I begin each day with gratitude and I end each day with
Oh,
gratitude.
I love that.
And because when you're grateful, it really is difficult to be grumpy.
So
um,
true. So
it
true.
puts you in a state of mind that, you know, no matter where we are in life, and, we've all been through some really, really difficult times, that we always have something to be grateful for. Even if it's the simple things like, a roof over your head, or, shoes to put on your feet, or food, we always have something to be grateful for. But
Mm.
that's one of my most important things. But also, it's really important for me to have some quiet time. Um, and a lot of times, I'll be completely honest with you, it's in my car.
Mm.
I'll just turn off the radio, and I feel like I need time to decompress, for my mind to get centered. Um, and or a lot of times I'll have, it's important for me to have devotion time to work on my spiritual well-being.
Mm.
So if I don't have time to do that at night or early in the morning, then I will put on a podcast in my car of, maybe a sermon or an
Mm.
inspirational speaker, or something of that nature, to really to feed, that spiritual well-being that is so important to me too. And then as far as, the body, I really do try and exercise, usually 4 times a week. Sometimes it gets to 3, but it's amazing, um, what that does for me mentally,
Mm.
how I feel so much better after I exercise. And it's interesting too, Michelle, in that self-care, had always been important to me, but never so much more than when I became an entrepreneur.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, it was as if, um, my body was screaming at me,
Mm.
because we tell ourselves as women, especially that, oh, everything's great. I am juggling all of this, and I'm a rock star. I've got
Mhm.
my kids are taken care of. Um, you know, my career is I'm balancing all of that. Um, and then if one of those things falls out of place, if you're not nurturing your mind, body, or spirit, for me, my body tells me otherwise.
Mm.
Because as you know, I mean, stress can manifest itself in,
Mhm.
many, many different ways. Um, and for me, if it's maybe I'm a little short tempered with, those that I love the most, because it's
Mhm.
usually the ones that you love the most that, you are the most comfortable with, or you seem to, um, your stress is evident with them. But also, it's that saying that your body doesn't lie. Well,
Mm.
it is so true because, um, since becoming an entrepreneur, I have thinking that I'm juggling everything, and I really wasn't. I had hives all over my
Oh,
body.
wow. Wait, just out of the blue, you started getting hives?
Yes, hives. And it was completely stress related.
It was.
Um, yeah, because I'm telling myself, internally that everything's great. I am doing just fine.
Right.
And then
Your
one
body's like,
day,
"No, you're
oh,
not, and
oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
slow you down."
that's exactly what happened, Michelle. Like,
Wow.
I'm not kidding. One day, last year, I woke up and my eyes were swollen shut. Um, I had hives on my eyes,
Oh
and
my
it looked like
goodness.
I had been punched in both eyes, and it was a complete stress reaction, to everything that I was juggling and not doing a good job of taking care of myself.
But
And
were you aware of that right away, or did you think, "Oh, maybe it was something
I
I ate?"
knew,
You knew. Your body was
I
telling you. You
knew,
knew intuitively, yes.
yeah. And, I guess probably deep down, I knew that I was teetering.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't allow myself to go there when I should have.
Mm.
And my body told me otherwise. And,
Wow.
and or I'll get an eye twitch, which,
I've had an eye twitch, actually. I understand that. A little
and
eye spasm.
ironically,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness. Yeah.
I listen to this. Ironically enough, Michelle, I woke up today and my eye is twitching nonstop because what I didn't do this weekend is what we're talking about.
Okay, no, this is so good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this because, there are people who think, "Oh, I'm gonna get a roadmap and that's it." That's not it. I feel
It's a
like it's like a
process.
daily commitment to yourself.
It is.
But
It totally
what
is.
was your life like? So take us into the hive days. I mean, what did a day look like when you were getting up? Like paint us an actual picture of the intensity of stress and how you were just going through your day and telling yourself that everything was great.
Yeah, and I was telling myself everything was great, but I was also juggling way more than I was capable of, though I wanted to think that I was capable of everything.
Mm.
And it was back before we had, the team members that we have now, and I was doing everything with production and forecasting and manufacturing. I mean, just you name it. If you look at a product, it was soup to nuts, and it it really it was God's way of saying, hold on a minute,
Mhm.
you can't keep up this pace. And and it was just a really chaotic time, but we learned so much also about ourselves during that
Totally.
time, and this was a learning process for me that I need to step back and take care of myself.
But what did you like? How soon after the hives? Was it an immediate, like, okay, I better pay attention, or did you try to keep pushing through?
Well, it was it was really an awakening, and not only for me but also for my business partner,
Mm,
um, because we had both been discussing, this we can't keep up this pace, and I came into the office and I'm like, this physically is what's happening to me.
did you
There's
still have the hives, or had they faded by
oh
then?
no, my eyes, I could barely
Oh,
open
you
them.
poor
I mean, it was so
thing.
bad.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, we have to make a change. And I mean, he knew that, but at that time we both kind of made it a priority, like, okay, we've got to get some help. So we did, and it's been remarkable, how that's helped immensely. But here I am today, waking up with my eye twitching, and my staff is like, "What is wrong with your eye?"
They could see it. Oh, it wasn't just like
They
a subtle
could.
twitch, because mine
Oh
might be like
no,
once over you're like, oh, my eye just twitched once. No, you're saying it's
no,
twitching.
it's bad. And so one of my rules for myself, usually for weekends, is that I make time for myself. And
Hmm.
my weekends are a time to recharge and to regroup. And focus, on my kids. And this weekend it was a little nutty, and I didn't do that. And
Mm.
here it is. And I just love how I'm having this call with you,
So ironic, I
because
know.
it is a process, and it's
Hmm.
here I am. I make an effort to focus on these things, but um, it's a continuous effort, and in doing that, one of the things that I talk about is extending ourselves grace.
Mm.
For when we're not doing exactly what we need to do, and don't keep beating yourself up about it, like this weekend and moving forward. I know, okay, time out, Deanna. You've got to focus on yourself and your inner being, your body, mind, and spirit, and give it
Hmm.
the attention that it deserves, or else things are going to go off the rails.
Wow.
So,
So when the hives came, what were you incorporating at that time, and what did you add in after?
I was no, I really was not exercising, maybe 1, 2 days a week. Um, but it was more during that time that I wasn't, um, I guess, devoting the time spiritually that I needed
Mm.
to.
Hmm.
Um, and because my mind going a mile a minute, and also sleep, I was not sleeping well.
Mm.
And I wasn't sleeping well because of, I wasn't taking the time, that I needed, that quiet time and everything else, because that really helps me decompress.
Hmm.
And I wasn't giving myself the opportunity for that. So instead, you know, I might fall asleep and then wake up at 2 and not be able to go back to sleep because my mind
Wow.
is racing. So,
Hmm.
um, and I've learned, also the importance of sleep and allowing myself the time to have that quiet time to work through things in my head. But yeah, since then I've made it a point to start exercising, and um, I had been on Amanda Trust's The Faster Way to Fat Loss. I began that like 4 years ago and kind
Mm.
of backslid through that during that time. Um, and since then, I've picked back up on it. And another thing that I sometimes do is we'll sign up for um, like a group run, where we have a team and we're all accountable for each other.
Mm.
Um, to me, like, I just did a relay from called the Hood to Coast, from Mount Hood to the coast of Oregon, and I had to train for that because I
Mm.
couldn't let my team down.
Right.
Um, so knowing that other people are at stake, caused me to make the time needed to do those runs and do the exercise that I needed. But that might look different for everyone, but I,
Mm,
I feel like sometimes to have some accountability in a program or a buddy, a workout buddy,
mm.
really, really does help because it's so easy to say, you know what, I'm going to sit on my phone and, look at social media for the next 30 minutes rather
Time
than,
sink, yeah.
yeah, than walking or doing something, for your body that your body desperately needs.
So I do have to ask though, when do you find the time to actually run and train and schedule this stuff? Because one thing that none of us feel like we have enough of is time. And so as
Hmm.
the CEO of a company that is growing like crazy and has retailers calling and wanting to get their products, your product on their shelves, I mean, exciting times. I imagine it'd be so easy to just want to put all
Yeah.
your energy into that. So when is this happening? Like how do you structure it for yourself?
Yeah, it's really when I look at my calendar for the week, you know, my daughter's sports schedule always comes into play. And, uh, you know, oftentimes I'll look at my dates and be like, okay, I have to get up early this morning
Mm,
and do XYZ. And I'm not a great early morning workout person. I'm just
mm-hmm,
not. I
mm-hmm.
prefer to do it in the evening, but if I know that that's not going to happen, I will purposely look at my calendar, maybe on Sunday and plan out the week. And then other times, if she's going to be at soccer or practice or whatever, then, you know, I'll say, okay, I have free time here. I have 45 minutes. I can go to the gym and get it done. But and then sometimes too, I'm not at the Y or at the gym until 8 o'clock at night.
Mm.
But even then, I still feel so much better once I get that workout in. So it's really looking at your schedule and prioritizing um, your days of the week and making yourself that priority. If you don't, your week will disappear and you know, you'll wonder what happened. So,
Yeah, and then you'll wake up with hives one day. I mean,
right.
I actually had that not this summer where I woke up 2 nights in a row with hives all up my forearms, and I was wondering because I have a lot of food allergies as a food, and part of me was like, "This is stress. This is
Yeah,
100% stress." And so I
absolutely.
think the body is always talking to us, and so not
Hmm.
pushing through and thinking I don't care. I'm just going to keep going until maybe something more severe happens. So really honoring
Yeah.
yourself is huge takeaway. And sleep that you talked about, huge. And managing
Yes.
stress. But women often feel guilty for doing things for themselves. I'm curious
Yeah.
your opinion. Why do you think that is? And what's the mind shift that they need to make in order to feel good about taking care of themselves?
Right. Well, you know, as women, we put everyone else first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from our kids to our parents to our spouses and significant others, to even people at work. I always feel like we're the last ones to look inward and really say, what is it that I need? And I, we're the master guilt trip takers.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, 100% that, you know, nothing is ever enough for those around us, but we never look at ourselves and say, is the same true for us? And I feel like that by not investing in ourselves, we are shortchanging everyone around us in
Mm-hmm.
every facet of our lives because we're not the best version of ourselves when we don't invest the time needed
Mm-hmm.
to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. And in that regard, I'm I'm a better mom, I'm a better CEO, I'm a better leader when I'm centered and I'm healthy and, I'm managing my stress effectively and where I'm grounded spiritually. I am a better Deanna for everyone in my life by investing that time in myself.
That's so good. And I love the word investment, making an investment in yourself. I love that word. I think it's
It
so
is.
empowering. And I think it's exactly True. It needs to invest in yourself. It's interesting because men aren't asked, how do you balance it all? They're running a company. Nobody's wondering what their
Right.
self-care habits are or whatever. I'm not saying that men are necessarily taking better care of themselves, but women are generally the nurturers. And you are
Yeah.
breaking new ground. There's not really a roadmap for successful female entrepreneurs as to how you do it all, how you do manage the family, because it often
Right.
does fall to the woman, and you're a single mom, so it absolutely is falling on your plate.
Right.
And, running that business and having big dreams and goals and actually finding time to take care of
Yeah.
yourself. So, investment is a nice way to frame it. And I think, you had kind of a little bit of a wake up with the hives, and the
Hmm.
twitching is now a reminder. Okay, I'm paying attention.
Hmm.
I hear you. Need to focus on my gratitude and my prayers, and I need to get,
Hmm.
taking care of my body. And for you, maybe that's less, maybe even physicality, and maybe more quiet. You'll tune in and figure out what that is. But sometimes, women won't make themselves the priority. They won't focus on that until something happens. We don't want that. So if you
Right.
could tell the women listening, like one thing that you could leave them with, um, a strategy, a mindset shift, something to help create that habit, what would it be?
Yeah. I think that going back to gratitude
Mm,
is so important. And thinking about this question, you know, I feel like so many times in my life that I kept thinking, oh, it'll be so much easier when
mm,
my kids can walk, or so much easier, when my kids, start school, or when they're both in the same school, or they can drive, or, when I get married, or when I find the perfect person, it's always, it'll be so much easier when. And you know, I feel like we just need to be so grateful in the moments that we're in, and not kind of wish our time away, and
mm,
um, really feel like, live in the here and now, find the beauty in every, moment that we're in, even the lows,
mm,
because I am so grateful for all the valleys that I've been in, because that's when I've learned the most.
mm.
So even, in our lowest points, to find something to be grateful for, and take a moment and reflect in it, and again, to extend ourselves that grace, that it's okay, to, you know, not be, the perfect person, or not be everything to everyone. And it's okay to not to say no if we need to. But I feel like being grateful for every stage and every moment that we're in, because it's all happening for a reason, and
Mm.
making us, developing us into the people that God intended us to be.
That's so beautiful. I don't even want to ask anything else. That was like the most perfect place to end. I mean, I could ask you a million questions. Let me just put this out there, but I feel like maybe it's a separate thing to some degree.
Yeah.
But there are going to be women who are going to have admiration for what you've created, and may aspire to a seven-figure business, and and incorporating the self-care along the way, of course. What do you think a woman needs in order to make that a reality? I mean, was that a vision that you had for your business, or did you just keep following the next step?
I kept following the next step, but also listening to what God was telling me to do.
Mm,
And that could be, I think as women, we all have this, um, like I said, intuition. We
mm,
have this sense, and it's a God given gift that we're all given. And for us to pay attention to that voice, you can call it whatever you want to call it. I believe it's God speaking to me, but believing, heeding that voice, and believing in yourself, knowing that you are enough. Um, and when you're going through that, to make it a priority to center yourself spiritually, um, whatever that looks like for you, because I have found that when I am on the right
mm,
path, that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing is when I'm probably going to be under attack the most. And
Hmm.
I need to be grounded spiritually, to ward off the voices in your head to say that you are not enough because you are,
Mm.
and to not believe the lies that sometimes we tell ourselves, and to call them out and, say that is not true. I am enough and I can do this. And that belief and grounding yourself spiritually really helps.
So beautiful. I love the way you share information and the way that you process and approach everything that you do. Thank you so much. I love talking to you and I love the advice that you shared. And I am so grateful for your time today.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Always a pleasure to speak with you.
I really hope that you enjoyed hearing Deeannah's story and how, her body was speaking to her with the hives and the eye twitching, and that you may realize your body's been talking to you. Maybe your back hurts. Maybe you have something else going on that's asking for your attention. In our culture, we are not rewarded for slowing down and creating white space, but with all of our productivity and everything we're doing, we actually do need that. And we need a balance to the going and the pushing and the doing. We need some balance to get really connected to the life that we are creating and not just letting the day dictate where it will take us without being very conscious and aware of where we want to go. So head on over to thegoodlifecoach.com/050 for the show notes for today. I'll have a link to episode number 31, as well as to Deeannah's website, PhD Feminine Health, and her Instagram account in case you want to say hello to her. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for the weekly email that I send out. And as a thank you, you will get 52 self-care tips, which serve as a reminder to make yourself a priority. They're just ideas that you can incorporate on a daily basis. Pick your favorites and reuse them. You get to decide what you most need and to feel good about taking care of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to reconnecting next Wednesday. Bye for now.